Hello, welcome to another video on peak financial planning. This week and next week are about two super fascinating subjects to me that I hope you'll find equally interesting. The thread that connects the two videos are money models, how we find financial role models and identify if we've actually selected someone that is worth replicating or not. And so today really focuses specifically on what are the characteristics and traits of a financial role model. And you'll see I'll go through some good ones and some bad ones. So anyways, let's just jump right into it this week. What does a general contractor, Tom Cruise, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, and Kobe Bryant, and Kobe Bryant have in common? I'll give you a second, but right off the bat, the easiest connection that you can find between them is they all make a hell of a lot of money. The reason I bring these people up is because they're all pop culture figures. We look at them and they're aspirational role models. They're aspirational because we look at them as financially successful, rich, and successful individuals. But the thing here is the only binding thread is that they all make a lot of money. And so the question that comes from that is an athlete suddenly good with money because they get an NBA contract and begin making millions per year? Just yesterday, they were playing in the G League, no money to be found. Tomorrow, they're in the draft and they're making $4 million a year. Are they suddenly good with money? What about a movie star? Is a movie star suddenly good with money because they obtain a role in a film worth millions of dollars? Again, yesterday they were a starving actor doing work as an extra, and tomorrow they get their big break. They've worked very hard for it, just like the athlete, but are they suddenly good with money? Is an executive suddenly good with money because they go from being a marketing analyst to one day becoming the VP of marketing at a huge Fortune 500 company? And then likewise, is a general contractor suddenly good with money because now they can hire themselves out of their actual labor job and put crews in to do the work for them? Well, obviously it's not the case. Yesterday this athlete was in the G League, tomorrow they're making a couple $1 million a year. That tells us nothing about their skill with money. What it does tell us is that in all four of the previous cases, they were people who became experts at their craft. So the athlete worked diligently, shooting all their free throws, doing their three-pointers, et cetera, et cetera. Finally, they got that tryout that pushed them over that income threshold, and now they're making millions of dollars. The actor, same thing. They refine their craft. They take a bunch of action, many years of acting classes. They do auditions. They do small roles, and eventually they get their big roles. Again, no reflection of their actual skill with money, but they are an expert at acting at that point. Again, the idea is the athlete becomes a superior athlete. The actor becomes a superior actor. The executive becomes a superior executive. And the general contractor becomes a superior contractor. Again, that tells us nothing about their actual skill with money. So if your goal is to become an amazing actor, then Tom Cruise might be a great role model for you, but we don't want to confuse the idea of becoming a great actor with also being great with money. Yes, you can accidentally become rich by making a lot of money as an actor. Same thing for being a contractor or being a plumber or whatever other job. You can become rich by virtue of making more money than you can possibly think of how to spend. But that is not a great model of how to do that. That's not a guarantee that because you make a lot of money, that you are or ever will become rich. And so a couple of funny examples, but if you remember Nick Cage, fantastic actor, had big problems with the IRS, had major financial issues. Just because he was a phenomenal actor did not make him an excellent steward of his finances. Same with Mike Tyson, multiple scares with bankruptcy, not a notoriously wise financial individual, but extremely famous, extremely successful, made huge amounts of earnings over his boxing career. And known for his lavish lifestyle. But again, not exactly someone you would say this is a good person that's good with their money. Or how about Elizabeth Holmes? This was the lady who was the CEO of Theranos that eventually became a scandal. There was fraud involved. It became a huge Netflix movie. But again, she was at one point, I think, maybe the wealthiest woman in the world based on the valuation of her company. And now she is nowhere to be found on the earth. Other than for her misdeeds. The principle between Nick Cage and Mike Tyson and Elizabeth Holmes is the same. What's the connection there? Well, they had a lot of money, they lost a lot of money, they're not great stewards of our money. So who do we actually look to, and what do we actually look for to find out if the person or people we aspire to be like are actually going to lead us along the path to wealth? So this question at the top of the screen has been a through line through this video, which is what makes someone good at money? Okay. There was research done. So if you've ever heard of the book, The Millionaire Next Door, There was a follow-up book to that called The Next Millionaire Next Door. I'll put links to these in the video, and I'm also going to show them at the end of the slide set. But in that research, they found that there were 6 qualities that led to someone being good at money. What I'd like to do is list them here, explain them, and then we're going to go through and link them to the actual skills that are the reflection of the behavior, this quality that leads to being good at money. But number 1 here is frugality, a commitment to saving, spending less, and sticking to a budget. If you've seen my earlier videos about the financial pyramid, you can tell that that's a huge through line for me. It's something I do with all my clients. Frugality is number 1. Confidence, number 2. Confidence in financial management, investing, and household leadership. We'll talk through that in a sec. Responsibility, which involves accepting your role in financial outcomes and believing that luck plays little role. That means that you believe that you can influence your financial outcomes. Planning or setting goals for your financial future. A focus on seeing tasks through to their completion without being distracted. And then last but not least, social indifference or not succumbing to social pressure to buy the latest thing. All right, to go through these one by one, what's the behavior and what's the skill? So on the left is the behavior. Frugality is a behavior. On the right is what's the skill to practice. Okay, frugality is as described on the previous slide, spending less than you make, saving, paying attention to a budget. And that's the skill there is the financial pyramid. If you watch my 3 most recent prior videos on the financial pyramid, one of them is what I call is cash flow and budgeting. One of them is what's called the money tree, which is actually your money flows, knowing where your money goes and how you spend it and how much you can save. And then the final is what's called profit first, which is the practice of proactively saving money for big one-time expenses, for taxes, and for your long-term financial goals. It adds an element of planning. But that's the skill you can practice. The second is confidence. The second behavior is confidence. How do you gain confidence? Through education. Confidence is obtained through spending time learning about the various different account types, the various tax consequences of account types, understanding how taxes work, understanding the external influences over your money. You get an income in, you need to understand how that's affected and pushed around by external forces. You get that through a commitment to education. That's the skill. It can be listening to podcasts, reading books, speaking with a financial advisor. It doesn't really matter. You can do it on your own or through the assistance facilitated by someone else. But education creates confidence, which will lead to the third step here, responsibility. Responsibility, the skill that is associated with that is taking action. Now, one of the confidence and responsibility are intertwined, because one of the reasons we don't take action is because we're not confident in the outcome of our said action. So we actually sit in a purgatory of inactivity. So we may know that we're overspending, or we may know that we're making a lot of money, but we're not saving enough for the goals that we have stated. Yet we don't take action, and the reason is because we don't have the education that builds the confidence, so that we can knowingly take an action that will have a result that we can predict or plan for. So taking action is a product of responsibility, but it's really a product of education and confidence. Moving down the table here, planning. Planning, the skill you can practice regarding planning is proactivity. Planning is the practice of sitting and visualizing a future outcome and then breaking it into many small steps and then executing on those steps. It's taking responsibility to the next level. But really, planning is proactivity, because planning is the antidote or the antithesis of reactivity or being stagnant. When we're stagnant, we sit and avoid the future because it's chaotic and uncertain and unknown. When we plan, we take an uncertain, chaotic future and make it organized and clear, and now we can proactively take steps to make that future plan a reality. Number 5 here is focus. Focus really is time management, but really it's dependability and reliability. How often have you started something that you haven't seen through to the end because life gets in the way? Exercise is a great example of this. I own a gym with my wife. One of the most common things that happens is we would have clients that were what we call fair weather clients. They'd start at the gym in January, they'd stop by April, they'd come back after the summer break for their kids in September, and then they'd stop again in November or December because of the holidays. And that is not going to get you results because you're not dependable or reliable to yourself or the commitment you've made. And you can't achieve something great without consistency, dependability, and reliability. Another example of this is showing up to the things you commit to on time and giving it the attention that it deserves. So focus over long periods of time is one of the key elements that will distinguish people who are long-term successful wealth builders or wealth preservers from someone who is not. And then last but not least is social indifference. And similar to focus, the skill you can practice is limiting distraction. Social indifference, as the authors of The Next Millionaire Next Door put it, is basically the ability to keep yourself from succumbing to distractions and purchasing the next fad or the next trend. Limiting distractions is a great way to do that. Limit your TV watching and you limit how susceptible you are to marketing. Limit how much you pay attention to Instagram, TikTok, or whatever, and you limit how much you're blasted and broadcasted to buy products. And it's not just products, it's also other things. By narrowing your focus, you make it more likely that the outcomes that are important to you in life get obtained. Same thing with wealth building. So if you want to be great at wealth building or at wealth preservation, just money in general, you want to work your way down this ladder, and this shows that this requires a commitment to time and action. This is a difficult thing to do. But what it also shows is that someone who is excelling at their career is a great role model for their career, but not necessarily exhibiting these 6 behaviors and skills around money specifically. There are plenty of people who make $1 million a year, like Nick Cage, like these celebrities, who then become bankrupt. In fact, I think the statistic is extremely high. I don't know the exact number, so I won't quote it, but a large amount of athletes who have made multi-million dollars of career earnings and end up bankrupt after playing sports. Despite the fact that most of us, you and I, will never make that amount of money over the entirety of our lives, and they've made that over a span of 3 or 4 years, it's because they don't have any skill with money. Right? So again, just illustrating difference. And that's the focal point of this presentation, which is we need money models. So how do we identify people who actually exhibit these skills so we can watch what they do, learn from them, implement these things systematically and progressively in our lives, and make our lives better by becoming skilled with money? To take the concept from the last slide and make it even simpler and turn it from 6 points into 3 points, one of my mentors told me back at the gym days that there's actually really 3 skills with money. The first skill is you learn how to make money. That's cash flow, budgeting, learning how to make more money and increase your sales or increase the actual salary you earn. Try to make more money. Then you can, once you've learned that, you've learned the foundational skill. The second skill is to learn how to keep your money, because that's really where most people fall apart, is they either make enough money or they make enough money to actually meet their goals. They just don't know how to set aside or keep the money that they make so that they can actually apply it to their goals. Learning how to keep money is learning to put focus and attention, taking principles from that last slide to here. It's putting focus and attention towards your money so you know where it's going and so it's not escaping you. And then once you learn how to keep money, once you've proven that you can accumulate money, now you can learn how to grow your money. Learning how to grow your money is learning how to invest it, learning how to make wise decisions, learning how to delegate your finances to someone who can also make wise decisions. But the key thing here is that too often we start on phase 3 here, which is learning how to grow money, instead of starting with number 1 or number 2. And we haven't proven that we can actually do those earlier steps, but we need to first. An example of this would be someone comes to me and says, hey, I have $5,000. What should I put it in? That's them talking about learning how to grow your money. If I ask them, how long did it take you to accumulate that $5,000? What changes did you have to make in your life? And they can't answer those things because they don't actually have a strategy for how they make money or keep their money. Then it doesn't matter about giving them the next hot investment. What they're trying to do is skip steps, and that person will, odds off, be no further off later on in life than they are now, because the odds that you're going to have a swing, like a grand slam swing on an investment, are so low. It's basically like it's even lower than going to Vegas and gambling your money. So the idea here is learn these things in order, find someone who can illustrate these skills, and then go and implement them in your life. And then finally, to wrap things up here, so what are some places you can learn these skills from? Well, books are a great example, but there's also people. So I've put a couple books here on the screen, but there are people behind these books who you can watch and learn from. Dave Ramsey is a great example. He's a finance talk show host who's been on the air for a long time. He has a podcast called The Ramsey Show, and it's all about how to get out of debt, stay out of debt, and then compound your finances and grow your wealth over time. He shares a DIY, a do-it-yourself approach. But you can read his books. There's tons of helpful resources, and he even has an online course called Financial Peace University. There's no affiliation here. I'm just recommending things that have been helpful to me and my clients. So Dave Ramsey is a great person to follow, but also a great provider of resources. But then you also have these books like The Millionaire Next Door or The Next Millionaire Next Door, and you can learn a lot just from reading these and possibly even implementing. Or what you could do is read these books, then go on YouTube and find the skills that we listed in the earlier slides and say, how do I learn how to be frugal, how to do a budget, how to track my cash flow? Okay, try that skill, implement it for a few months, move to the next skill. How do I learn the next step? How do I learn to become confident? Okay, I can go read the book, read investing for dummies or tax advantaged accounts for dummies. And then I can go on YouTube, understand the difference between a traditional IRA, a 401k, and a Roth IRA, so on and so forth. The idea here, you need a place to start. If you want to DIY it yourself, it's going to take a sincere commitment of time and energy and effort to the practice. You'll have to be reliable and dependable over long periods of time. You'll have to stay focused and avoid distractions in order to see these results compound. You want to get good with money, you have to put the same amount of effort in you would to becoming excellent at something else. Conversely, you can also delegate this. If you do delegate it, you want to find a financial planner or a financial advisor who espouses these subjects and who you can watch and follow and prove that they're actually doing these things or implementing these things with clients. They should be able to speed up your process, but not at the expense of cutting out fundamental steps. An advisor who tells you to just invest your money and only focuses on the grow your money portion is not helping service you to your utmost ability. I hope this was helpful. If you have any comments, questions, you can leave them in, below the video, and I appreciate your time and attention as always. Thank you so much.